Welcome back into Momentous Struggle. Today I want to take a look at the strike force for Galactic Republic that I'm excited to play the most. This is with the new release of the plans and preparation box. We got some new toys to throw into the existing strategy, and I'm excited to see kind of what we can do with these new toys and how they play out. So I'm going to break down the strike force I'm most excited to put on the table when it comes to the Galactic Army of the Republic. Let's jump into it. So as always, I like to take a look at one squad at a time. We're going to start out with squad number 1, and since we are talking about wave number 2, let's take a look at our first primary that I want to play with. I want to try out Luminara Unduli, the Jedi Master herself. So let's take a look at what she has to offer as far as squad synergies, Galactic Army of the Republic synergies, and things along those lines. So I want to take a look into what she can bring to the table for this particular build that I'm looking at making. Alright, so let's take a look at Jedi Master Luminara Unduli and why I'm taking her. First off, she's the new shiny toy. Let's admit that. I want to take the new shiny toy and I want to play with it. So that's really what it comes down to. But I mean, she does have 8 squad points, 3 force. That she's a little light on stamina for a primary character at 9, but I think that's basically because of the role that you're gonna try and use her in. At least the role you probably should be using her in, because she is more of a support piece than a attacking attrition piece. So I think that's going to be part of the reason why her stamina is a little bit lower than we've seen on characters like Anakin and say like Asajj or Obi-Wan or even Vader, who is Galactic Republic. But so with that, because he does have that particular tag. But this is what that's part of why I think she's gonna have a little less stamina than some of those other characters, and it really comes down to her abilities and what she is doing on the battlefield. The first off is that full recovery. It is a little pricey at two force, but it does do a lot. It takes any unit within range 3. The chosen unit basically removes all damage and conditions from itself. So it's huge what you can do with that depending on the situation. There's been a lot of games I've played where I've had a character or one of my opponent's characters have gotten, or units even have gotten all the way down to like only 1 or 2 damage remaining, and they have like 7 damage on them or something along those lines, and maybe 2 conditions because they added some conditions on the tree. It's really nice to be able to just say, nope, I'm going to spend 2 force and remove all that, and all that work that you did just went right out the window. So I like that about her, and I think that's going to be a very important ability to utilize in the game, simply because you're wiping out like a lot of what your opponent potentially has done, where in some cases maybe they had to utilize 2 activations of movement and attacks, and they didn't even get that wound on that particular model, and now you're just wiping out all that work that they did. So it can be a little deflating to your opponent, and I think it's going to be kind of nice to have that in there. The other ability that there's 2 more, but the other one, the reactive ability that I want to talk about is her precise strike. That does cost a force, and she doesn't have any way on her tree to utilize her active or reactive abilities for free. So this is something, again, that both of these things you're going to have to pay force for. So there is that piece of it, and of course if she does become wounded or injured, it is going to cost extra force. But looking at it on the face value of the card, 1 force, she gets out of activation, movement, or attack for a Galactic Republic supporting unit, depending on where their order card is, whether it's in the order deck or not in the order deck. If you've listened to me talk before, either on the podcast or here, I really am a big fan of out of activation movement, out of activation attacks. I think they're solid because they're giving you value where there isn't value. So I really do like that. I like what this can do here. Granted, it is just 1 character in the unit, so you're not going to be doing 2 movements, 2 attacks. It's just going to be one of those models if you're using clones, which are pretty much the only Galactic Republic supporting units out there right now. So you're only going to be utilizing one of those models. You're only going to be moving 1 or making an attack with 1. But like I said, out of activation shenanigans is always great. The flow of the force trait that she has, though, is pretty awesome. It has multiple steps to it. There's 3 different parts to this ability. So let me kind of break it down because I think it's great and brings a lot to her kit in general. So like once per turn, when an enemy unit becomes wounded, one allied character can dash. It doesn't have a range on this, which I think is really great. So somebody becomes wounded, she moves somebody. Then, also, the second part, when an enemy character becomes wounded, an allied unit, after the effect resolves, another allied unit may heal 3 times. So that's 3 either take a damage away or remove a condition. It is just one, you can't spread that out among all of different characters. But if you have someone who's got maybe 2 damage and a condition, they're completely good to go now. I think that's really great. To be fair, I think that's a really interesting. And again, no range on this. It just is anybody on the battlefield. So she could be on a rear objective, and someone could be up on a mid to front objective, or mid to front objective, and she gets to sit there and still take advantage of that ability. And then the last one, you may look at the top card of your order deck before revealing an order card or choosing to activate a unit from reserve. So basically, you have full knowledge before you make decisions on, man, do I want to go ahead and activate that character that I put into, or that unit that I put into reserve, or do I want to sit there and wait and see, like, because you're gonna have to play that card that you're pulling from the top of your deck. Having that full knowledge of before you make your decision is really fantastic. So I like a lot of what she does, because especially in clones, or in any strategy for that matter, you really don't want to activate your primaries early. So if you're pulling her early, or you're pulling your other primary early, you definitely want to be able to say, no, I'm going to put them in reserve, and then you can pick and choose when you're going to be able to utilize them, and you're going to have all of the knowledge that comes from the deck. But that's why I like Luminara. She brings a lot of interesting abilities to the game, stuff that we haven't seen before. Her kit's really fantastic as a supporting unit. That's why I like her. So let's take a look at who we're going to bring as her secondary. So we're coming right out of the gate with this support style unit, as a primary with Luminara. She is the new shiny toy. That's why I really wanted to bring her to start with. I do want to really get her on the board and take a look at what she can do and what she has to offer. So let's take a look at who's coming along with her. It's not a new shiny toy. It's Rex. It's Captain Rex. I want to stay with the roots of the clone synergies here, and he brings a lot to the table there. I do like Barris Offie. I do think she's going to be a great character, but for the build that I'm looking at right here, I want to lean into the clones a little bit more than I can with Barris. I think she's going to be maybe a more Jedi-focused build, as I've talked about on the podcast before. But here's definitely where I'm going with this one. So let's jump in and take a look at why I'm taking Rex. So if you've been playing this game for a little while here, at least since release, you're probably familiar with Captain Rex. He's kind of been the go-to if you're bringing Anakin in your strike force. So I think most of us are pretty familiar with him. He is a Clone Wars era character. He's got that 501st Clone Trooper and Galactic Republic tag, with his 9 stamina, 2 durability. But he does synergize really well in the clones and Clone Trooper synergies and strategies that are out there. And also with his just activated ability of get a move on soldier, basically just moving any Galactic Republic character. And then because the chosen character can dash and gain a hunker token. So I do like him a lot, especially, if you want to try and move your gun line of your clone troopers into a different position when he activates, or even just moving your primary into a better position to get into the fight early, or in Luminara's case, move her into a position to utilize her full recovery. I think that's going to be a powerful ability. Again, not beating the dead horse like I always do about out of activation movement and attacks. That's just basically really great. But pairing her with Luminar and being able to get Luminar into a position to utilize full heal at the range that we need her to be to do that, because it is range 3. It's not short, but it's not the farthest what we see. It is that middle range. So getting her in the right place and this helping her to get in the right place is definitely going to be beneficial. Defensive movement maneuver is always good with that movement and hunker token. Of course, I'm always first kid is great. Being able to just have him do a 5 dice attack, either melee or ranged, and the fact that his range is 5, so he can just it almost goes off all the time as long as you have the force to do so, is really great, because there is a lot of that gunline type of synergies and strategies that you're going with the clones because of that, all of those range attacks. So definitely a great ability. Bring It On Clankers, again, being a great clone trooper synergy where after someone gains a hunker token, they can go ahead and heal. So basically being able to take a defensive maneuver, heal for another clone trooper, and it's just an innate ability, so there's no force cost to this, is really great. So that's what kind of, again, leaning into the clone strategies. I like this because you're always able to sit there and heal up those troopers, because you're usually wanting to use defensive maneuver as consistently as possible, because of that movement and that hunker token, and what hunker tokens can do for you, because of that additional cover that it can help you get. So I do like that. And that's really pretty much why we're looking at bringing Captain Rex. Let's take a look at who I want to bring with Captain Rex, though, and Luminara as our supporting unit. So let's go ahead and complete out our squad 1 for our strike force and take a look at how we're going to round those out. So we have Jedi Master Luminara, we have Captain Rex. Who does Captain Rex want to bring with him for the clones? Well, it's not going to be the 501st today. No, let's take a look at the new Republic clone commandos that are coming in with the plans and preparation box, and how we're going to squeeze them in and integrate them into this particular strike force and this particular squad. So let's take a look at them. Not a whole lot to say here when it comes to the Republic clone commandos. They're pretty much like most of the clone commandos that we've already seen, as far as most of the abilities that they have. I mean, they are the 4 squad points. They do have the clone commandos tag, in addition to the clone troopers, Galactic Republic, and trooper tags. And it's really those clone trooper and Galactic Republic and trooper tags that are the most important for this particular build. They do have 6 stamina, 2 durability, so they on paper look a little squishier than most of the characters, but again, that's really because of their commando armor. That's because people are not taking into account their commando armor innate ability that gives them protection, which just removes the 1 damage from the damage pool every time they are calculating damage. So that does help. But like all other ability or all other clones, they have Brother in Arms, they have defensive maneuver, they have coordinated fire. So not a whole lot different there. The coordinated fire, of course, just doing a damage. Keep in mind, these don't stack with the other clone commandos. You can only have 1 reactive ability per triggering event. So they are not going to, you're not going to be able to stack your coordinated fire triggers in regards to that. So it's one or the other if you're going to be bringing another set of clone troopers and that have a coordinated fire ability. Something to keep in mind there, but I don't. But you're going to probably have these guys all over the place in different places contesting different objectives. So I don't know if it's always going to be that important to have to get, or always even possible to get both those triggers off. But just something to keep in mind that you cannot stack those abilities. But they do also have the Ascension Cable's ability of scale. So those are 2 different abilities. The Ascension Cables and the Commando Armor are definitely 2 different abilities that we haven't seen on clone commandos before, but I think that protection puts them over the top, just because it adds a little bit different durability to them. So I definitely like them to round out this particular squad. let's take a look at the other squad for our strike force. Okay, squad number 2. Let's take a look at our primary here, and might lose a couple of you on this one. I'm not sure like if everyone's going to be happy with it, but I'm going to try somebody that maybe is not the most popular choice. We'll see. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like him. I like the hunker strategies that he has. I like what he brings in the synergistic piece of it. A little bit more than Anakin. Yeah, Anakin hits hard. He is a truck. He is the chosen one and all of that. But I want to have some Jedi Masters. And, Anakin's just not a master. So let's take a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know what you're saying. Shots fired. And it's true. I did take a low blow at Anakin there with that comment. But that's all right. It's Anakin. He can tough it out. But let's take a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi here, the general that he is. Comes with the 8 squad points, 3 force, so we're only going to have a total of 6 force with this particular squad. He does have the 10 stamina and the 3 durability. He does have the Force user, Galactic, Republic, and Jedi tags as well. Why are we leaning into him a little bit more? I do love his hello there ability. I do love his so uncivilized ability. Patience is really good as well, being able to do some healing and some movement when you put him into reserve. And then also, again, that kind of does work in conjunction with Luminara's ability to look at the top of your deck and decide whether you're going to utilize your card in reserve or not. So there is some synergies there that you can really take a dive into. But ultimately, that knowledge and defense is great with your clones. And I've played some games against people running clones, and it's really like, man, if you had knowledge and defense, and Obi-Wan with that what he does with the hunker tokens, it really would put the team over the top. So like not losing the hunker tokens when they become engaged is pretty good, just because it's able to add that defense. Adding one more defense dice for having the hunker token against melee is really good too. I mean, so it makes the characters more durable, and you're already with Luminar, you're able to heal them more. I like how these kind of come together to just keep your characters from getting wounded, from being able to sit there and just stay in the battle more. And I think that's really what this does, is it makes it harder for people to get your opponent to get momentum from wounds, and also to basically be able to take those points by wounding somebody. They're going to have to use displacement in order to do that, because you're just having weight, you're rolling more dice, you're healing more, you're doing a lot of great things. And then on top of it, they can remove a hunker token to heal. And if they have multiple hunker tokens, can remove multiples to heal multiple times. And then then each time they heal, they can go ahead and move too. So I really like what Obi-Wan brings. I like the durability that he adds to your clones and all your Galactic Republic characters with those hunker tokens. I think that really does, when you're looking at a defensive healing type of strategy and just trying to be as staying on the board as long as possible, playing more scenario based. I'm going to score the points. I'm going to stay on the points. You're not going to, I'm going to be able to move on to the points. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do to me by wounding me and everything like that. I do like that. I mean, and again, with some of those clones having protection, it's just, I really like this. So that's why I'm bringing Obi-Wan. Let's look at who we're bringing for his secondary. Okay, so leaning into the clone strategies, you can probably guess who I'm going to be taking as my supporting unit for Obi-Wan. And I think it only makes sense because of the clone strategies in general that I'm trying to accomplish with this particular strike force. And that, of course, is Commander Cody. He is really solid in the clone build. I think he's going to probably be the best. You can definitely make a case for Barriss over Commander Cody and for a lot of the things that she brings in her particular kit. But I really wanted to lean more into the clone strategy here. I think there is definitely that Barriss definitely has a place here, and I can discuss that a little bit more at the end of the video once we get through all of this. But I do like Cody in this particular build, and let me go ahead and explain why I like him. So here we have Commander Cody, and like I said, I do definitely like what he brings. He is that 4 squad points and the 9 durability, 9 stamina, 2 durability. So I definitely bring some good stuff to the table here. As far as synergies with the clones, it's really just bring it down as a innate ability, which basically any allied clone character within range 4 that has one or more hunger tokens, when they make an attack, they can reroll up to 2 of their failures, and that can come in really handy of just being able. I mean, especially range 4, that's a pretty decent range. Being able to reroll attack dice, especially on your commandos and the other unit that you're going to be bringing, I think really does add to this here. Like all of the other ones, does definitely has the defensive maneuver. The sharpshooter too is really cool, and being able to ignore cover is really cool with his say goodnight clankers. So I think it's like when you're looking at the gun line strategies that you're kind of building into this particular team, again with that range 5 that Cody has, I do think that that's going to be he's going to be the better one for this particular set set of strategies and set of um, a set of like basically what you're trying to accomplish. What you're trying to accomplish with your team, with the gun line, with the just range attacks all in. You can stay back and just shoot at them and make them come to you if they want to get rid of your people, and at the same time you're just shooting them from range. So like being able to like have a range attack sharpshooter too on his range, he's already shooting 6, so being able to potentially focus, add 3 more dice, so you're rolling 9 attack dice at range 5. I mean, that's pretty solid. And again, they don't benefit from cover, so they're not going to get those extra defensive dice if they did decide to hunker. And if you're at a lower level and they're at a higher level, as long as you got that line of sight, you're good. So I do like Cody here, and that's basically why. But I think most of us have been playing him probably already know that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last piece of this strike force, the supporting unit under Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, let's go ahead and finish out this strike force. Let's not beat around the bush in any way. We're looking at bringing the 212th, and I think that they're basically the most logical fit in this. Basically, we're bringing all of the Hello There squad box at this point in time until we get other options to throw in there. But I think clone strategy wise, this is the best way to go. Let's take a look at the reason why I'm going to be bringing them though. And similarly to the reason why we were bringing the clone commandos, we're bringing the 212 simply because of that clone trooper Galactic Republic trooper tags that they have. I do like them having brother in arms with the steadfast, not being able to be pushed off points. I do like having coordinated fire that offers a different ability. Like their coordinated fire gives pin, where the coordinated fire for the clone commandos just does damage. And they do have defensive maneuver, which basically just gets them a hunker token, which pairs well with Obi-Wan's synergies for the hunker token. So overall, that's why we're bringing it. I think it's the same reason that everybody knows, because if you've been playing clones or you're familiar with the game, you know what the clones do and why we're bringing the clones and what synergies they have, and we're just playing into that with them. So let's go ahead and close out this strike force and kind of give you my closing thoughts. So here it is, everybody. Here is the strike force that I have assembled for your viewing pleasure today. Basically, it is all in on commandos and taking advantage of some of the synergies that I have mentioned between Obi-Wan and Luminar, the 2 Jedi Masters. I like this one. Of course, there are some changes that you can make for your particular playstyle. You can definitely replace either one of the Jedi Masters for the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker himself. In doing so, you would have to probably remove one of the clone supporting units because they're both 4s, and he is, of course, only coming with 7 squad points. I would probably remove the 212, and keep the clone commandos in if you're going to go that route. And also, you can definitely bring Barris in for one of the clone, either Cody or Rex. Definitely is an option there to bring in her kit. I think she offers a lot of interesting things to the game with her force push and some of her abilities supporting other Jedis. So as my partner on my podcast has definitely said before, that's going maybe leading into more of a Jedi focused build instead of a clone focused build. But if you wanted to go that route, it's definitely a way to go. You're losing a little bit in your clone synergies that way, But if you're wanting to go for that route, I definitely can understand wanting to go that route. So that kind of wraps up my closing thoughts there. Again, I do want to thank each and every one of you for listening. If you like what you're watching, hit that like button. Go ahead, subscribe, ring the bell if you want to continue to hear about the content that I'm making. If you like what you see, definitely go ahead and do that. Definitely helps support me. And last but not least, as always, I do want to say, may the force be with you.